Hello there, Eric here, your Learning Futurist. Well, let's talk about innovation today. Innovation, and especially how it relates to our largest tech companies in this world. One of the biggest arguments that large tech companies give us when we look to do more regulation or maybe even break up these biggest of the tech companies is that it will stifle their ability to innovate and create awesome things that benefit you and I in the world. Well, we have a couple of more hints and a couple of more clues that this just may not be the case. And that one of those big ones is pantry mode that we've heard coming out reports of Google recently. So in this video, I'd like to talk about innovation, regulation, and breakup, and how pantry mode might give us a little bit bigger hint into where this argument of regulation and breaking up is not necessarily going to stifle innovation. Coming right up. Okay, so first let's talk about pantry mode. Pantry mode is something that came out by the New York Times and Business Insider, I think late June 2021. And pantry mode is basically how Google decides how to bring new products to the market. Google spends increasingly more and more on research and development. They're coming up with new ideas, new products all the time. And of course, as a big company, it's hard probably to know which products to throw your weight behind, your money behind to develop to become full-blown products. Well, one of the largest, we're finding out, considerations for Google to bring these products or services that they research and they come up with in their research and development is if a competitor or someone else comes out with that product and it starts to generate interest or profit or both. And which means as Google develops something, they put it in the pantry until they're forced by a potential competitor to bring it to market. So this is called, quote unquote, pantry mode. So Google can't release all the things that its employees come up with as far as ideas. So they put them aside, and when somebody forces their hand or some competitor comes out with a possible solution for one of these ideas that they come across, they come out with the product at that time. You can also watch some of this behavior with how Google and all the other tech companies actually make patents. They make patent claims all the time, and Apple Insider and other companies' websites very closely watch what these companies patent because it gives a hint to what's in there now. We might start calling their pantries. Me being an immersive technologist, I've seen and followed this as far as heads-up displays and virtual reality, augmented reality, hardware and software products. There's tons of this stuff being patented by these companies all the time. And not necessarily these products are being released just yet by these big tech companies. But I'd like to talk a little bit about why maybe this is the case. Because if you're a big company and you have some great ideas, why not? They have obviously the money to do more of these things, to back a lot of more of these products that they come up with inside the company, but they choose not to, instead put it in the pantry. Well, you really just have to think about what kind of company Google is, and they are in the data business. Their biggest money makers are advertising, and they have features around their ability to gather data to support their main cash cow, which is the ability to connect advertisers, collect data to drive their AI systems, to drive money and people to products of ads. And they're pretty much got a monopoly on search and maps and email Android is an 80% market pretty much all over the world. So these basically are the features which help drive the data that support their main business. So if it doesn't necessarily support the main business, and might just be a feature, like Google might offer Gmail as a free service, but it supports the data collecting activities that support their main business, right? So if Google comes up, or an employee or a group inside of research or development comes up with a great new hardware device or a new software product, they might consider it as a feature for this main activity, but it's not needed until someone else probably comes out with it, and then somebody else might be getting the added data above that and getting market share. So Google may be compelled to keep their dominance on their main business, and therefore essentially drive out the competition. And basically this becomes an anti-competitive behavior and stifling innovation, right? Google's own YouTube got started in a garage and was much better than what Google at the time had as far as video sharing and companies. So they were outsmarted and they had to buy it. So that's what companies these days can look forward to, is being bought by a big company, or being a competitive product being taken out of the pantry to compete against right away. So I think that's a compelling reason, a good possible reason why pantry mode might exist. All right, but I also want to just bring up Google and things that come out of pantry mode that never really last that long, because they don't necessarily support that main business of data collection, right? You can go back and watch a couple of videos where I talk about the end of Google Tour Creator, Expeditions, Hangouts, Poly, which I used a lot in my university and my classes and my learning designs for immersive education. When these products first came out, I kind of saw them as Google possibly leveraging them to have users input data to connect to physical locations all around the world. They've probably found a much more convenient way, a much more scalable way to gather that information. So those items are now sunset. So Google has largely gotten out of VR and AR for the time being, as far as I can tell. Cardboard was open sourced. Google Tour Creator, Expeditions, Poly, Google Daydream, their mobile VR platform, all went out. And so this is kind of opened the doors for now the innovation to start coming into play. There's a lot of companies that have jumped on these products. For example, Expeditions, which was a virtual tour creator, a virtual field trip application that was used a lot in education to allow students to visit, Machu Picchu or the Eiffel Tower, or archaeological digs, or, for example, while in the classroom using virtual reality. Other companies have came out and filled this need, and actually these products are actually, I think, a lot better than Google's offering. So it's another kind of thing that might show that the biggest tech companies are actually stifling innovation, because they're not compelled to come out with the best, the newest, and most compelling items for their users if it doesn't meld, match, or support their main revenue sharing systems. All right, well, I think I'll leave it there for now. I'm Eric, your Learning Futurist. We talked about pantry mode today and how it relates to innovation. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye-bye.